Welcome. This is Elizabeth Fulgaro. With me today is Chaplain Lisa Northway, U.S. Army. Thank you for being willing to continue your story, Chaplain Lisa.
Thank you.
So, I think one of the things that you've been sharing is that a spiritual war is always foremost, that it actually is over and above at all times, even above the combat situations that you've been in. So I'm interested. You've had several assignments stateside now. Is there also the spiritual war component there? And is it the same intensity? Is it greater? Is it less? Does it remain? What have you faced here?
I think that it looks different in different places. Sometimes you come to expect some things, but then I think more importantly, you need to expect the unexpected. You won't know what it's going to look like. You don't know what strongholds and spiritually that people have come with, which of the generational hurts that they carry from their families of origin, their loved ones, their doubt in themselves and their ability to change, to be the people they say they want to be, or even promised on a wedding day or at their children's baby dedication that they would be there, for instance, for their child or their family. The ability to have staying power, to show up for your own life and those that you've pledged to do life with, it appears for many people, for many of us, that mission is harder than signing on the dotted line, to put yourself in harm's way, to do the hard thing and go to another land or another place you were told to go and make room for the possibility that someone else could live a life free of oppression, or at least a better life than they've had before. The harder thing, it appears, is to keep the promises to ourselves and to our loved ones. And what I do every day, I think, is try to remind people what were those little mental lists, or what were those promises they made to themselves and loved ones? What were those things that maybe are still left on the back burner of their hearts and their minds, that's really cheating themselves and their loved ones from having a fully present, fully whole person, soldier, father, mother, sister.
So it's always more expansive than just the military mission.
Yes.
And it really involves, we started with one of the initial episodes you're sharing about as they're preparing to cross the border into Iraq, as they're starting their deployment, that how well have they been prepared? In other words, what have they carried with them? What does their past bring with them? What do they need to go to God with or go to their loved ones with before they make that step? And here we are, still looking at the whole person, right? First, during the deployment, you were sharing that the whole person sometimes wasn't seen by leadership and wasn't respected.
Right.
And the problems there. And now that the mission that's military can be easier than the mission to themselves and to the ones that they love. How do you help them balance that and find their way?
Scripture says that without a vision, the people perish.
Yes.
And sometimes people had a vision and they lost it, didn't think it was possible to do life the way they started out wanting to do life. Sometimes we sit in places where we attempt to co-create vision. Maybe we offer them our vision. Maybe that's enough. but to be able to remind people what are the things you really wanted to be able to do at this point in your life. And that's very often not enough for somebody who is making decisions or indecisions in the moment. We need to be able to take them to a place where what do you want to be able to do when you're a grandfather or a grandmother, if you're not doing it for your, even as a mother, father, right now. This is just a very simple illustration of what I do. Very times when we'll be at a PT formation and I'll see someone limping or really truly in pain. And so have you been to the sick call or clinic yet? Have you been seen by a provider? And very often we have soldiers who feel like there's a stigma for going, just getting basic health care, basic health. They don't want to be, as if that will be, something they will be considered weak for. Or maybe they have real fear that if this injury gets documented, this could mean their livelihood. Maybe this would start their medical chapter. And this is all they've ever thought they could do, was be a soldier, or this is all they ever wanted to do. There is no vision because there's no desire. They truly, their whole lives have wanted to do this soldier thing. And I do absolutely think that being a soldier, not just a chaplain, but being a soldier is a calling. And I just love that the stories from the cross about how, and even in the Apostle Paul, how Jesus ministered to a soldier, at the cross.
Yes.
Is showing the great love he had for people who were just showing up to do their job. They were given one mission, here you go. And Jesus did not deter them from their human mission. He dressed them in their humanness, in their place of where they showed up for duty. And the Apostle Paul, how he reached out and ministered to a soldier that impacted the generations of his family. They realized, I'm not just in this jail. It's not just about me being a victim and being misunderstood in my practicing my faith. That God has allowed me to be here in this space. And so I think, going back to that question of asking, coming alongside a soldier in formation who's truly in pain, truly suffering, and may not have the personal courage to get the help, even though they so want to be free from the pain. And sometimes it's a simple question as, would you like to run with your grandchildren someday if God blesses you with them? And you can see the light go on in their eyes and they say, yes, chaplain. If God blesses, I'd love to be able to run with my grandchildren. And so the next question is, so what are the chances you'd be able to do that if you don't take care of this ailment? Like, oh yeah, chaplain, I'm going to the clinic. I'm going to sick call.
What a beautiful way to cast vision for them when they haven't thought to cast that vision for themselves. So you're leading them. That's a way of kind of leading them forward.
Yes.
What are some of the other things you see, places where the soldiers need the spiritual support, or where they could, and I don't even quite know what to ask, but where you see places that their souls could use more than they have, and then what do you do? Because I know everyone has free will to decide what faith, if any, that they have.
I think that, I think that we need our soldiers to understand that the Army and God together have provided sort of this, I never thought about this before, a spiritual amnesty box. An amnesty box is something that when you get to basic training, if you bought any contraband, whether it's gum or cigarettes or pornography or something, you can place it there, no judgment. It goes there. You'll never see it again.
All right.
But certainly the risk of having it outweigh any benefit if you truly want to be a soldier.
Okay.
If you can't survive basic training with that, if you insist that you must have these things. And so I think that, especially because we have this ability, this grace government and God-given together of providing 100% confidentiality apart from if you're a danger to yourself or someone else, where we're going to stop a session. We're going to stop in the moment and ask, what resources do we need here? I'll still be with you, but we need to add something here to this resource kit, your toolkit for the way forward. If we can, as I'm thinking aloud with you, I'm thinking, really, we are spiritual amnesty boxes. We offer something no one else in the military community can provide. And if people truly feel, if their soldiers and family members, civilians and loved ones feel they can have that, that's the beginning, I think, of coming clean, so to speak. Not that our God requires us to come clean before we see Him, but just to be honest with yourself. I tell people, and I honestly believe this, I think it's harder for us to be honest with ourselves than it is even to be honest with God.
Oh, I think you're right. And what do you think about forgiving yourself versus receiving forgiveness from God?
Yes. I would say a lot of the issues that I deal with, or the crux of it, is that it is hard for someone to forgive themselves, even if others have forgiven them, even if they know and believe that God has forgiven them. That they feel like, well, I still deserve a punishment, so I'm going to go ahead in some way and punish myself because even God has forgiven me. And that's just their sense about what needs to happen may make them feel like they need to punish themselves.
Thank you, Chaplain Lisa. We'll talk to you next time.